Hey, what's up, y'all? Joey here with Focus Property Solutions to tell you about Focus on the Seller. So, Focus on the Seller is, I think it's the first of its kind. I've never seen where an investor will get face to face with y'all and try to answer your questions, but that's what this whole thing is about. So, I know it's going to take a few minutes for everybody to jump on and see this thing's live. So, let me tell you a little bit about Focus Property Solutions. So, I said, hey, I'm Joey, I'm with Focus Property Solutions, but we're located in Calhoun, Georgia. We buy and sell houses and mobile homes from Murray County, Whitfield County, Gordon County, all the way down to Bartow County. So we've been doing that since 2010, and we love what we do. Matter of fact, today, me and Ashley were out door knocking, trying to find people that are about to go to foreclosure auction and get in touch with them before that happens to see if we could help them out. So it's pretty cool. All right, well, last week, I don't know if you got to watch it or not, but last week we talked about the question, which is one of the number one questions I get when I sit down with a seller, which is, what's my house worth? And we went through a bunch of different scenarios. I say a bunch of different scenarios. We talked about 3 different values. We talked about tax value, how it's calculated and where you get it. We also talked about fair market value. We called it FMV, and we talked about how fair market value is a sliding rule. It depends on what your house looks like, where it's at, how it's located, or not how it's located, where it's located, and what condition that it's in, as to what your fair market value is. So it slides up and down depending on those factors. And then the last thing that we talked about was after repair value. And so after repair value is going to be something for us to remember that's important. After repair value is the absolute best case scenario for a house. Everything in the house has been totally rehabbed. Everything on the outside looks great. It is in great condition and at the best time to be able to sell it. So that's what the value is worth once everything is spick and span, rehabbed, looks great, ready to go on market. And the reason why that's important is because we're going to be working off of that. So the question we're going to talk about tonight is, how does an investor make me an offer? You know, a lot of times I go and I sit down with sellers, and the very first thing that I tell them is, my job is not necessarily to buy houses. My job is to solve real estate problems. And I'll ask them a whole bunch of questions. The very first question I'll ask is, why are you selling such a nice house as this? And we'll talk about that, and we'll ask all kinds of different questions. And the whole purpose of doing that is so I can figure out how to solve your real estate problem. And I'll tell you, if I can solve it by me buying the house, I'll do it. If I can't, hopefully I can point you in a better direction to get you into a better situation than you are right now and get you some help, because we are truly focused on solving your property problems. And so that's how we got our name. But so whenever I go and I sit down with people, then they say, well, you know, you're going to give me an offer, right? And I said, yes. What we try to do is we try to get you an offer within 48 hours. They said, are you going to give me a cash offer? I said, we always try to give you a cash offer. Now, sometimes we're not able to accommodate that, because when we get in there and start asking those questions, we find out that you owe more than the house is worth. And that would be silly for us to try to pay you cash more than the house is worth. Wouldn't you agree? I said, yeah, that's true. But we would make you an offer within 48 hours. And I say try. Sometimes it gets there quicker. If we have one of those things where we're out meeting on Friday and I can't get back to you on Monday, it may be a little bit longer than that. But still, within 48 hours, we get you a cash offer. I said, well, let me ask you a question. You gonna lowball me? I always chuckle at that, because really and truly, all investors have a formula as to how they're gonna make you a cash offer. And so I will sit down with every single one of the sellers and go through our formula to show them that, hey, we're not gonna lowball you, but this is how we're able to make money. And they're like, well, I understand you got to make money. I was like, you're dang right. And I always whip out a picture of my kids and say, look, you know, I got to feed them. And so in order to do that, we got to be able to make a profit off the house. And we make a profit off the house one of 2 ways. We either rent it out and hopefully get a cash flow off of it each month to be able to put some money in our pockets to be able to buy groceries with. Or if we can't do that, we got to fix it up and resell it and be able to sell it for more than we bought it for, and after all the rehab, in order to make a profit. And they're like, well, okay, but still, I'll write down this formula, because this is a formula we use. It's the formula just about every investor out there that's going to use in order to make you a cash offer. So if you don't mind, let me go through this with you tonight. By the way, as I'm talking, Ashley's manning the computer back here, if you have any questions about anything I'm talking about, or if something pops in your head and you want me to address it while this is going on, let us know, because we're here for you. This is all about you. So you tell me how to do this, and we'll do our best to answer the question. And I'll even tell you this. If I don't know the answer right now, I'll go find it out for you and come back to you later. Is that fair enough? All right, cool. So let's get into the formula. We call it the top offer formula. So remember I said ARV, remember it's after repair value, was something that we needed to pay attention to. So this is how our formula works. The other thing, wait, before I get into ARV, let me tell you something about David Covey. David Covey wrote a book called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And in it, he talks about an idea of beginning with the end in mind. And so that's what we as investors have to do. We have to begin with the end in mind whenever we go to make you an offer. So when I start with the after repair value, what I'm trying to do is visualize what the end is going to be like and then work backwards. So that's how this formula was crafted. So the very first thing we need to think about is, what's the end value going to be, which is the after repair value. ARV. Y'all don't laugh at my handwriting. I'm going to try to do the best I can, but I'm a country boy. I got chicken scratch, but still, I'll do my best. All right, so we start out with the after repair value. The next thing that we have to think about is we've got to close this house. So there's actually two closings that happens with an investor whenever they go to resell a house. The first closing is the cash closing, where I buy it from you. We'll go down to our attorney, and we'll have to pay for a title research. They'll go and make sure there's clear title there and issue us title insurance. So we have to pay for not only the title search, but also the title insurance. Then we have to pay for the attorney to go and do their thing, write all the documents. So that normally costs about $1,000. So right off the get-go, we got to take out $1,000. Okay? But there's a second closing that happens, and it's more expensive. The second closing that happens is after we fix the whole thing up and we listed it on the open market with our realtor, and they bring us a buyer, and the buyer goes and gets a mortgage for how much the brand spanking new house looks. My words are getting a little out of order. Y'all call me on that. So what we have to do is we have to then take those out. That's going to include commissions and closing costs. Now, commissions for a realtor cost 6%. And then what happens is when, right today anyway, when a buyer comes along and they're looking at our brand spanking new house and they're like, I need help buying this house. I need you to give me some seller contribution so that I can buy this house. Currently, that number is running about somewhere between 4 and 5% of the sales price. So as we're talking about this, ARV then becomes the sales price, we hope. They may try to counter offer us and try to get us to come down, but the sales price at ARV should be the same thing once we've got the house fixed all the way up. So that means if it costs 5% in seller contributions and commissions, we've got 11% of our sales price gone right off the bat as soon as we sell that house. We have to figure that in because that's an important cost. So the way we figure that out in the equation is we just say minus, we'll just say closing costs as opposed to seller contributions, then minus commissions. Okay? The next thing we have to factor in is our rehab costs. Rehab costs can vary from all kinds of different areas. We've done them as little as $5,000. We just did one that closed last week and it was $58,500. That was a big rehab. So whenever I'm coming out to you, I'm a contractor. And so I'm walking around the house and I'm trying to look and try to guesstimate how much a rehab is going to cost. And so we have to figure that into our top offer as well. So the next thing we figure out is minus rehab. All right. So far, Focus Property Solutions hasn't got paid. The investor hasn't got paid out of this. We're going to come in and do a whole lot of work. Specifically, if we're doing a $58,500 rehab, we're doing a whole lot of work. Like I said, we got to be able to get paid so we can take care of our babies. So whenever we're figuring this up, we have another thing that we come into. I'm going to bring it over here and call it an acceptable profit. Okay? Then what is left over is what we call our top offer. Okay? This is the most absolute best bullet. This is all we can do with the numbers that we have in order to give you a cash offer. So sometimes looking at it when it's just up there and it's written out doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So if y'all don't mind, let me go through an actual offer that we made on Monday when we went to go look at a house. So we went to go look at this house, and it turns out that the house would resell after it was all fixed up for $100,000. That was our after repair value. So let's plug that into our equation. It would be, and I'm just going to use K for 1,000 instead of writing it all out, that way it's easier. So after repair value was $100,000. Okay? We got to take out the $1,000 that it costs for us to buy it for cash whenever we go to the attorney the first time. Then we got to take out 5% here and 6% here. So that's going to be $11,000 off of this. So 11% of $100,000 is $11,000. Our rehab on this particular property was going to cost $24,000. It needed a water heater, it needed a brand new HVAC, it was going to have everything redone on the inside, it needed a new bathroom, it was also going to wind up having to have a roof jacked up in a place. So it was not a super easy rehab, and so we had to figure that in. So that was $24,000. Now, I'll go ahead and tell you how we figure out what our acceptable profit is going to be. It's 20% of ARV. And the way that we figure that out is we have to go and figure in things whenever we go to sell a property. So it costs a lot in taxes to sell a house. We get almost 50% of our profit taken away. Right, that it goes to Uncle Sam whenever we go and we sell a house. And so we have to figure those things in order to stay in business. So that's how we came up with 20%. It's the normal thing for anybody that goes out and makes these offers. So we're going to take out $20,000 because 20% of 20K is $20,000. All right. That meant at the end of the day, when we took $100,000, subtract 1,000, subtract 11,000, subtract 24,000, subtract 20,000, that left us with a top offer of $40,000. Now the purpose of this is to show you that as an investor is working on these things and they throw out a number, we're not lowballing you. These are the ways that, these are all the costs that are associated with it. This is what we incur, and the other thing that we incur is a whole lot of risk. We hope it's going to be $24,000. Actually, have we ever ran into any time that I said the rehab was going to be one thing and it came out to a whole lot more?
Yeah.
How many times has that happened?
A lot.
A lot. Just for instance, okay? So that $58,500 rehab I told you about, whenever we started it, we thought it was going to be $50,000. That means we went over $8,500. I can think of a time that a pool cost us like $8,000 more than it was supposed to. I can think of a time whenever we bought a house, our termite man went out and looked at it and said, hey, you know, there was termites, but everything looks good. And we got in there and got to looking, and the termites had crawled up the wall. They weren't there anymore, but they had gotten into the floor joist, on top of the floor joist, in between it and the subfloor, ate across it, and then got into the center beam that went down the house and ate it all the way up. And we wound up having to replace the entire subfloor and floor joist from like here all the way over there. So we're hoping that this will work out. So there's a lot of risk associated with this. So, just out of curiosity, does all that make sense, or do y'all have any questions as to how this could work out for you? Okay, I'm glad I explained it. So, every single time an investor comes out and they sit down with you and they go to make you an offer, this is the exact formula they're going to use. And if it's not exactly this, it's going to be some variation of this. There's another one called the Mayo number, and the Mayo number will be slightly different, but I mean, like it's going to be almost spot on with this number. So I hope that helps you to understand how an investor will come out and make you a cash offer, when they will make you a cash offer, which is hopefully within 48 hours, and yeah, that should do it. So there's another way that we make offers too. Remember how I said sometimes they don't work out, that I could offer you, $44,000 and it work out? The other way that we make money on houses is by being able to rent them out. And so when that is a situation, we might make another type of offer that some people call creative, some people might call it non-traditional, but we may come up to you and say, hey, you know what, do you need all your money now? If you don't need all your money now, how about I give you a down payment and then I make you payments over time? Sometimes that works out. There's all kinds of different ways that we can make you offers other than cash, and they oftentimes work out better for the people. Matter of fact, we might do that in another episode where we talk about other offers that we've made that help people out that wasn't necessarily cash. That may be fun. But either way, that's all I've got to say for this evening. If this was beneficial to you, do us a favor, share this video, because what we're wanting to do is we're wanting to get with you and be able to answer your questions. What I've done so far in episode 1 and 2 is just common questions that I've experienced when I've been out in the field, but I'd really, really, really like to be able to answer one directly from you. So share this video and then come and ask us questions for next week. We'll be back on Wednesday, 8 p.m. Matter of fact, we did a poll on it. It turns out 8 p.m. is the best time. But we'll be back next Wednesday, 8 p.m. to do another Focus on the Seller. So I look forward to seeing you then. Y'all have a great night.